Hey guys, rather than stand in front of the drawing board this time trying to do some more explaining, what I was going to do was go over the different building materials, different options for making your hoops and putting together a hoop house, a greenhouse. To me, I just lump them all under one term and call them a greenhouse. Some people prefer a hoop house, high tunnel, that kind of deal, whatever you want to call it. I was going to do something along those lines, and sometimes the best way to show how something goes together is to actually take part in the process. Now, right behind me is my wood pile. So y'all know I got a right good mess of wood here for this year, and I never built the wood shed. Now, I still don't know where I want to build it at, because I'm going to put a stove on the other end of the next greenhouse, and rather than build a wood shed and have to tear it down or have to move it or have to tote wood so far because I got it in the wrong place, what I'm going to do right now for the next few months or to make it through this season is I'm going to build a hoop house over the top of my wood pile. I'm going to do it real cheap. I got 6 hoops left over from my 14 by 96 frame that I bought a while back. You got 6 hoops that I'm not needing, so I'm going to use them, some 1-inch conduit and some store-bought 6mm plastic, because I'm only looking for 4 or 5 months out of it, something like that. And we're going to put a hoop house over this wood pile. Alright, here's a look at the wood pile real quick. I've already got a start going on right now. Got most of my pipes in the ground. What I'm going to do is just put the hoops up over this, throw some plastic on it, and we'll make it through the winter. Alright, once you decide what you're going to make your hoops out of, whether they're PVC, PVC conduit, or Schedule 40 water pipe, EMT, or the top rail for dog fence, or whatever you want to make them out of, you got a couple of options as far as putting them in the ground. First, the easiest thing for a lot of people is just drive a piece of rebar in the ground, and then their hoop is going to come over the top like that. Now, for me, what I did, my greenhouse, this first one, is put a 1-inch pipe in the ground, and then I had a 3/4-inch pipe that came on the inside of it. Now, where I have already beat this in the ground and flattened out the top, I'm going to have to cut that off to be able to use it. But what I'm doing right now is taking the 1-inch, putting it in the ground. I've already measured it, marked it to be cut off. I'm going to cut it off, and then my hoops are going to slide right over the top of that. That's how you get your hoops connected to the ground. What I use to maintain or to mark a consistent elevation whenever I'm working with something I want it to be nice and level, I use this right here. It's a homemade water level. Basically, it's a gas can with water in it and some tubing. Basically, you put one end of the tubing in, start siphoning, make sure you don't have any air bubbles in it, and the water level in this can is right here, and the water will always come right back to this line. You take this thing at 100 foot and it's still going to be right on that line within about a 1/4 inch or so. This is what we set mobile homes with. There's probably been millions of mobile homes set up in this world using this right here. And it's just simply the fact that water will find its own level. So what I'm doing, I've got this set up based on where I wanted it to be at. And what I do is go by each piece of pipe that I've got driven in the ground, put this up beside of it and let the water find its level. Then I'll make me a mark. That way I know I have every single one of them the same. Alright, I got my pipe drove in the ground, got all my marks done, and when you drive this stuff in, you flatten out the top a little bit, and your next pipe is not going to be able to go in it or go on the outside of it, whichever way you're going, so you got to cut the top off. And what I do is just take the angle grinder, there's my mark, they corresponded with the line on the water level, got a mark on each one of these pipes, and I'm going to cut it, and that'll give me a nice clean top for my hoop to slide over. And it doesn't hurt to take it and come along here and knock that burr down a little bit. Make it easy for the next pipe to just slide right over the top of it. Now, if you don't have an angle grinder or something to cut it with, you can use a hacksaw. That'll do just fine. Be a little bit slower, but it'll get the job done. I got a few of these hoops that already had the channel for the wiggle wire for securing the plastic. So I'm going to use one on each end, and then we'll do something else along the sides for securing the plastic there. But basically this hoop is just going to fit right up over the top of this pipe. Then I can come along and put a screw in here and put my bottom board down here, and we'll be in business. After I get all my hoops up and get my center purlin put in, this is what she looks like. Basically it's the same thing that Dale Calder had. He bought a kit, I think it was 12 by 24 or something like that, and put it together. If I didn't have these hoops already in place or on hand, what I was going to do was use PVC conduit and go that route. It just so happened that I had 6 of these hoops, so I didn't have to spend that money, and this is making for a very cheap little covering to go over top of my wood. I'm going to clean up my mess, and then it'll be time to get the bottom boards put on. To attach the bottom board, it's real simple. Just put your board on the outside of your post, and then take two hole clamps. I'm just using a 2x4 right now. If I wanted it for strength, I'd go with a 2x6, but I'm just putting something together using what I got on hand, and then just put 4 screws in it real quick. That's nice and snug there, and she ought to hold fine. And then we're going to run the plastic on the outside of this 2x right here. Alright, before I get to putting that plastic on out there, I want to go over a couple of things real quick. It doesn't matter what kind of shape of greenhouse you have or hoop house, what kind of structure it is. You want to make it out of wood, frame it up like a house. That'll be fine. Just make sure all your sharp corners up here, make sure you got them rounded over. You can put duct tape on them or something like that to smooth them off so they don't tear the plastic. And down here at the ground, you know, just make sure anything in contact with the ground is treated lumber so it won't rot and the termites won't eat it. You can make it out of, just like what I just did, just a hoop house. I already had the metal hoops formed, which is fine. You can buy them in kits like this all day long. Or you can take electrical conduit right here. This is what I would use, as opposed to using the white Schedule 40. I would use the electrical conduit right here because it's UV treated, and you know you're not going to have any trouble with the sunlight. This right here, I've never seen anybody that had a problem with it, but I've read about it. Over time it will start to degrade because it's not meant to be exposed to direct sunlight. You can take this right here, 3/4 inch EMT, preferably at least 1 inch, but I mean this same material, get you a bender from Lowe's, like $75, and you can make you one turn right here, one up here and one right here, and make it out of this. Be real simple. Make you a jig to lay it on your, lay everything in to make sure you had the same dimensions, same angle all the way around, and just put the little thing together. Or buy you a kit for you know, to put one of those awnings on, little cheap carport kind of things. Take the canvas off of it and put your plastic on there. Easy. Something else would be the real easiest thing to do would be to come off of an existing structure right here and just make a lean-to greenhouse. That way you already have one solid wall. That would be really nice on the south facing building right here. Back to the PVC. Try to stay away from couplings when you're going to put the pieces together, unless it's going to be a long run, that kind of deal. If you got any kind of bend in it whatsoever, go with these right here that have the bailed end on them. As you can see on a regular coupling, you're only going to go in halfway. With you come in from each side, you only get that much of your pipe actually in there. If you go with a bailed end, you get double that. Your pipe's going to come all the way into here and make a lot more sturdier joint. As far as how I put mine together, the 3/4 inch EMT, I just cut some 1 inch pieces and used them as a coupling. So if I brought a piece in here and here, it'd be cut right in the middle. So I got 2 pieces coming together, and then I just put screws in them. Makes a pretty decent joint right there. You're not going to be hanging no car or nothing like that from it, but it'll work out. As The Rock used to say in wrestling, it don't matter. Just whatever you want to use to put it together and get you some plastic on it will work out just fine. One more thing you can do, you see those little geodesic domes, like for the kids to play on? I think the shape got all this kind of stuff like that going across them. I've heard of people taking those, buying it, and just run plastic over the top of it, come in here and cut you a thing in it, put your door in it, and go that route. Whatever you want to put into it, the goal is to be able to grow food, and even if you don't want to run this through the winter time, which most people probably wouldn't have the time and to commit to it, you can still use it to just extend the growing season. Start out earlier, start out 6 weeks earlier in the spring and get 6 weeks later in the fall, and that'll give you another 12 weeks of growing season. And for folks up north who have such a short growing season, add in 12 weeks, that'll make a big difference. This is how all of my connections are done inside. This is a purlin run down the outside wall, and I just come in with a 2-hole strap, put 2 screws in it, and then I put one more right in the middle. Just remember, every time you drill a hole in your pipe, you're taking away strength from it, so don't go crazy with that. Right here, what I done to run the diagonals, you see, here's my purlin, 2-hole strap, and then I run the diagonal down here, and I actually mitered the end a little bit so it'll fit better up against this hoop, and then just straps again. Right there's a real good example of the coupling going across the top of the greenhouse, coming in from the sides, 3/4 both ways, 1 inch in the middle, screws, piece of cake. Now as far as putting the plastic on, this right here be real easy, made out of wood because you got wood corners everywhere, no problem. But when you got a hoop, it's a little bit different. You got to build you an end wall, and most people are going to go do something like this, somewhere in there, and put a door right here. In order to get the plastic on here, what I did was take a piece up this way, come across, and then come down something like that. That's what my end walls are made out of. That way I can pull the plastic over the top and secure it to these 2x4s right here. What I'm going to do over the top of the wood pile right here, since I've already got this on my end hoops, this is a little channel that your wiggle wire goes into to secure the plastic. I'm going to use this up on top of the hoops. So I'm not going to build any end walls right here. This is just really temporary anyway, just to make it through to the spring. And what I'm going to do on the side where I got my sideboards at, I'm going to roll that up in some furring strips. I'm getting my plastic put on right now. I've already secured this side. And what I have done temporary for the ends is just tape it with some tape right now just to hold it while I'm working on it, since I only have 2 hands. And we're getting ready to secure this side right here. What I got here is a standard 1x2 that you get out of Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever kind of store you got around. And what you do is lay it down on the plastic, try to even it up, and then you're just going to roll it up. And you can see now here's your bottom board. Try to get the same all the way down. You may have to unroll it and roll it back up a few times to get it just right. And then what you do, after you get it where it needs to be, just going to push down on it. And put your screw in there. The first side doesn't go on there real tight because you can't get any tension on it. So you just do the best you can with the first side. And then when you come over here now, the other opposite side is nice and secure. So you can bear down on this. When you push this strip down like that, that really tightens up the plastic. Just put a screw every couple feet or so, and that'll be just fine. And on the end right here, this is what they call the wiggle wire. This stuff right here, I guess you're supposed to wiggle or something when you put it in. It fits right inside this channel. Just start one end of it, and you start working it like that. Pull your plastic a little bit snug, and that thing, I guess this is the wiggle part right here. You just wiggle it back and forth. I think it helps to stick your tongue out. Then once you get down to the bottom, wherever your channel is at, just take the wire cutters and snip it. And let it rip. That don't look too bad so far. Got both sides done. The ends and the wiggle wire. Got my wood up under there, gonna be nice and dry now. I don't trust this plastic though. If this stuff lasts 6 months, I'll be really surprised. It's 6 mil, but just from working with this and working with the greenhouse film, there's a big difference. Okay folks, that's gonna do it for right now. I went ahead and put a piece of plastic on this west end because that's where the wind and the rain is going to be coming from, to keep that nice and dry. And I don't have a bottom board down here at the bottom, so I just put a couple blocks on the ground, laid them on the plastic. That'll be fine. If the wind blows it up, the plastic's not going anywhere. What I did was go ahead and put it up here, and just using the wiggle wire, came right back over the top of the first piece inside this channel. They make it so that you can actually put 2-3 pieces of plastic in there, and I got 2 pieces of wire. So if the plastic doesn't rip apart between now and sometime in March, we'll be just fine. Looking at it from the east end right here, that looks pretty good. That ain't bad for, you know, probably 50 bucks or something like that. That's about all I had to put into it. I already have my hoops. I was going to put, my first idea was to go with PVC conduit. Then I thought about these hoops I had laying out here. I said, heck, I just go on and stick them up. Nice and quick. That was a whole lot easier and faster than trying to move all that wood. What I do is go ahead and restack some of this stuff down here on the end. I didn't quite get far enough up in there. Throw it up on top, and I'll throw me a tarp over this end right here, and I'll start working off of it. And as I start working on up in there, get in 2 or 3 rows, I won't have to worry about the rain blowing up in there that far, no way, and it should be good to go. Not bad at all. We'll see y'all next time.